It's the RapNerd, and with Backrooms dropping over the weekend, I figured it's a great time to talk spoilers, and I just saw it again today, so it's fresh in my mind, and I really can get into what I want to talk about. So like I said, this is spoiler talk. If you have not seen the movie, go out to the theaters and see it. Come back here and join the discussion. Now, you've been warned. So, I loved this movie even more the second time, and I'm going to get into the sci-fi and crazy stuff later, but the first thing I wanted to detail was Kane Parson as a director. So when I first went into this movie, my main focus was all of the sci-fi and horror stuff, but what I got ambushed by was how beautiful and wonderful the direction was and how much was dumped into the characterization of the two leads that we're with. So I'll start first with the direction. I was really impressed by Kane's direction because I didn't expect it to be as focused as it was. Like the way this movie is directed, it seems like he's a guy that's been studying film quite a bit. And out of all of the directors who dropped horror movies in May, he's the one that I'm most interested to see where he goes next, because I really wonder if this direction is tied closely to the Backrooms because he has had so much time doing it on his YouTube, or if that's just his directing style. Because again, everything in this film, the cinematography is very intentional, it's very focused, and extremely visual when it comes to storytelling. So much so that there are things that I didn't even really catch the first time that I'm watching the second time, and I was like, damn, he was sitting there peppering in C's this entire time. So like, firstly, like everything is in the frame and blocked for a specific reason, and I don't feel like any frames went to waste. And that says a lot about a first-time director. And that direction serves the characterization with Clark and Mary, because you have these things happening that are visual cues, but even the performances that he was able to pull out of both of the actors was incredible as well. I think everything handled with Mary in regards to showing her backstory and bridging the gap between her childhood and what she now does as a psychiatrist or therapist, whichever one it is, was so beautifully done. I mean, this opening sequence is her standing outside of what looks to be her old home that's getting demolished because it got bought by a company. And it's done so subtly, like when it shows her as a child and her mom sitting there close to the camera, and you can see the sky backdrop behind them that looks like a painting, and then you see this wood come crashing down on them. It's a symbolization of her world is crashing down on her because all of these memories that she had at this house are now over. And then it serves itself later when she kind of has this dream of being in her home with her mom, and the bulldozer knocks the wall in. And it's just this really dope imagery of your world is crumbling in. And you see this dichotomy playing with her, thinking about her mother and why she is the way it is. And that's what pushed her to be a therapist. So I think that is so brilliantly done. And I even love the thing that she does where she takes a piece of the cement, puts it in her pocket, because that piece of cement is when her and her mom put their fingerprints in the driveway. And all of this is said without any exposition as to what's going on. It's just visually there. And I think that it takes a very refined type of direction to put those things there and not even say what they are. And I love that it pays itself off later when she's able to escape Captain Clark by hitting the thing in the head with that same piece of stone. It's just so brilliantly done and brought together. And again, it's a nice juxtaposition because all of her stuff is given to you visually, whereas Clark, he's giving it to you in an expositional dump, but it makes sense because he's talking to a therapist about it. And the performance being able to be pulled out of him serves the story even more because you grasp the fact that he's also in the same exact position that she's in, but instead of being able to hide it, he can't because his world is crumbling down right in front of his face, whereas hers, it already crumbled and she's navigated through it. Like another visual cue, right, that I love is when Clark first goes into the back rooms, right, and he's scared and runs out. He runs back in to grab a piece of furniture, and what kind of furniture does he grab? A bar stool, which goes hand in hand with his alcoholism. Love those subtle image keys. And it just reminded me of another thing, right? When he's first exploring the back rooms, he walks into this room and you can see sandals and a Chuck Taylor kind of infused into the ground. And it's kind of like he's already pre-thinking about bringing his employees in there, and then the room kind of takes that from his thought process. And it's also foreshadowing to their demise. And as somebody who likes very visual cinematography, this film was glorious for those type of things, and also it was just beautiful to look at. Moving on to other things I like, I really like the idea that the Backrooms is this place that takes these memories out of whoever's there and crafts this weird world surrounding them, so anybody who goes in there gets a unique experience. I think if this were to become a franchise, there are so many different things that you can do with that, and so much nightmare fuel that you can create. Like, I love that scene, which is my favorite one, when they go into the Backrooms with the camera and it switches kind of the found footage style and it's like a chase. Just Clark running through all of those rooms tells you all you need to know about what's going on. And one of the most scary scenes in there was when he ran to that room with a Christmas tree. And you see people kind of fuse to the ground, and then he moves over close to the tree and it's a guy in a wheelchair, and then this lady with this weird face comes out of the shadows. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. Woo, look at that. Ooh, that was creepy. And of course, that's definitely a manifestation of his wife. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. But then he takes off running and you just get to see these different rooms that he runs in really quick, but it's still so much detail. There's couches fusing to the ground, which I would assume are the couches in his apartment or back at his old home or wherever he's living now. And he even runs into this other room that looks like the front of a house, which again is part of his living arrangement, wherever that is. And all of these different changes are so subtle too, like it never just goes overboard to where everything is unrecognizable and it's like we're on a spaceship or something. It's just the right amount of strange, but also grounded to really weird you out. And I also really love how the movie takes its time walking you through everywhere in the back room. So again, you're right there with the characters, experiencing all these different things happening with them. And even on my second watch, I was highly unnerved by a lot. Like, obviously we got to talk about that dinner scene, because what the hell? I definitely feel like that sequence was inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just having this formal sit down with all these hideous looking creatures around. And what I love too is, right, because the Backrooms are creating things based on memory, it still makes me wonder, who are the people that we see? Like, who is the guy at the table? Right? With the weird looking face. Like, is he a customer that he knows? Is he his ex-wife's father? There's just so many different things that you can put in here, because when they sit down at the table and they have that same role play back and forth, you can see that the stakes are up with how Clark is talking and presenting the same story. Like, there's a whole lot more intensity here than there was at the beginning of the movie. It even makes me question, like, did he abuse his wife? Or even more, did he end up killing her? Because the fact that the manifestation of him in the back rooms was this big monster that was grotesque the way he was, who also killed him, and that lady that was recreated ran when she sensed him coming in the room, it makes me think, like, okay, why is this version of you like this? Like, are you really a monster, but you're hiding that, just how bad you are? Which leads to my other favorite scene, the chase when Captain Clark is chasing Mary. Oh, again, I was unnerved and my anxiety was very high. I do have a little bit of claustrophobia, so her having to squeeze into these little places and slide through walls, was giving me chills. Now look at this. Chills, man. I think it was just handled so well, because I love that she's able to get away from Clark and she makes her way into the furniture store. And you think that she's on her way out, but come to find out, she's still in the back rooms. It was just a room that was created to look like the furniture store. And she has to face this monster straight up. Like, imagine how terrifying that would be. That you have to face off with like a 9-foot monstrous version of a person that you knew, who you just saw eat the person that you knew. That's quite the mind warp. And I also love how open-ended the ending was. For those wondering, Mary didn't die, because of course this place makes a version of the people who enter. So the fact that there was like a strange and weird looking version of Mary inside the back room shows that she's still alive and she's there somewhere, whether she ended up escaping back into the rooms or they're just keeping her there for whatever reason. And I really would like a sequel to see what else this world has. Because based on the interviews that I've seen with Kane talking, he has a lot more to explore with this world, and God, let him do it, please. That's the type of horror franchise that I would like to see, because there are so many different things that you can do going to different parts of the world, and this obviously took place in the 90s, so I can only imagine what they could do bringing this to like modern day times. That would be nuts. So I'm gonna leave you there, because I could literally just go on and talk about this movie if I sit down and think about it, but I loved it, and I cannot wait to watch it again and bring it back home to really be able to hone in and pause the movie on certain sequences to be like, okay, what is that? Because there are definitely a lot of things that serve the story overall, and I love shit like this, man. So If you've seen the Backrooms, let me know in the comments what did you think about it. And this is a spoiler discussion, so go ahead and comment below if you want to. And of course, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.